So what's up people, and welcome to the chapter 8 and 9 discussion for Choujin X. So chapters 8 and 9 came out quite a few weeks back. Yes, I'm falling behind in my Choujin X videos and I apologize for that, and in fact, chapter 10 has already come out as well. But in any case, they have come out in Manga Plus, the publisher's official website, and so as always, I will leave a link to both chapters 8 and 9. And please go take a look at them if you're interested before they pull these chapters back. Especially chapter 8 probably will be pulled back in a few weeks. So if you're interested, I will go take a look at it right now. Now, chapter 8 and 9 was very interesting. This is very much a Sui Ishida sort of writing style. As much as many of his stories are about human confrontation and action and adventure, they're also about human revelation and character and personal growth. And many of these characters have faults, and a lot of his chapters deal with self-reflection. It was the same case with Ken Kaneki, the main character for Tokyo Ghoul, and it seems to be no different for Tokyo in Choujin X. And so chapters 8 and 9 seem to be a little bit of a calm between the storms, and it gives the writer the chance to build his world, since these are the first few chapters of the story, but also to give more character depth and reflection on the main character. Now, since he is building the world, we are introduced to a few more characters from the Yamatomori group, the group of heroic Trojans. And in these two chapters, we get to see Simon Kagamura again, who, if you recall in the last chapters, he was the powerful Trojan that controlled swords, right? He could create swords out of nowhere, huge swords, and almost like telekinesis, control them without even holding them. But we are also introduced to another character named Maiko Momoma, and she seems to also be a member of the Yamatomori. And she is also a Trojan. And from her first introduction, she seems to be the soft-spoken, nice, sisterly sort of girl. Now, from the information that we have in the chapters, her Choujin powers seem to be super strength. And she seems to be a little bit embarrassed of having such rugged powers, considering that she is such a soft-spoken girl. So it'll be interesting to see more of what sort of personality she is. So we have a very calm and chill sort of character in Simon Kagamura, and we have a much more softer sort of personality in Maiko Momoma. Now we of course get to see Ellie again, and she comes out quite a bit in chapters 8 and 9. And it is for the first time that Tokyo finds out that Ellie is not a member of the Yamatomori, but basically just staying there as a guest. And that made him even more surprised because of the fact that she came to save him during the previous incident. So how a standard girl was able to get enough courage to do so impressed him significantly. Now it seems like the Yamatomori has told the public that Tokyo is a witness to a certain incident, and because of that, he is given somewhat special treatment by the group. Because he is a witness and a special VIP for the Yamatomori, they are treating him to say, yes, if you need to skip school or if you need to do anything, yes, please go do so, because the Yamatomori is very important. And so Tokyo's kind of surprised at the special treatment that he's given. And of course, this gives the Yamatomori a chance for Tokyo to come out of school so that he can start learning what it means to be a Choujin superhero. And one of the first things he is asked when he goes to meet with Hoshi Sandak, the head of the Trojans, is what is his desire? What are his dreams? And it is at that point that we get even clarity again that he has none. And this is very consistent with his character, which has been somebody who has really never had a tremendous amount of ambition. He has never really steered himself personally and up till now has been someone who has followed other ambitious people such as Azuma. And it is in chapter 8 that he finally gets to talk with Azuma. Azuma apologizes for kind of pushing him away when he was needed. And it is at that time that Tokyo mentions that it probably was a good thing because he needs to start learning to stand for himself. So you can see that this entire incident with the interactions with the Trojans is changing him. And it's changing him to become a stronger person. But through chapter 8 and chapter 9, we're still finding out that his foundation personality, the one that gives a kind of a laissez-faire attitude to everything, is still prevailing in his life. And so, although he's trying to make a life for himself and trying to make a stand, he's not exactly sure what stand to make. And that is a very interesting point in that we're starting to get much more clarity into how this character is going to be. Part of it is not about fighting the evil Trojans. Part of it will be to understand who he really is and to see if he can change from this happy-go-lucky, easygoing attitude and give himself some sort of purpose in his life. Now, it's interesting because we are also given a contrast and a comparison between him and Ellie. Ellie is much more the ambitious person, and when Hoshi Sandak asked Ellie the same question, she immediately said money, which was pretty funny. Yeah, I didn't expect that from her kind of bubbly personality, but it kind of makes sense. She really wants to become self-sufficient and be able to go out and help people, and she feels that without money, she can't do either. So I guess she is like the Nami of the group, Nami from One Piece, except that she is a little bit more bubbly personality than the tsundere attitude that Nami often has towards her crewmates. And in fact, when Tokyo gives this answer of, I'm not sure exactly what my purpose is and I have no dream, it concerned Ellie because of the fact that she is such an opposite to that she really can't fathom somebody who doesn't have a purpose and a dream. And in the beginning, she gets concerned, and they have a fairly long discussion with regards to that, and you could see how this characters are going to interact within these stories. But eventually, considering how kind of open-minded she is and how positive she thinks, eventually in chapter 9, she says, I think it may be okay for you to not have a dream at this time, so long as you're willing to go look for what your dream is. And I think that is to give Tokyo a self-assurance that it isn't wrong to be who he is, but he still should have an ambition to what he wants to eventually be. Now, the other character that comes out in chapter 9 is Tessia Shiosaki. And this is another Chojin from the Yamatomori. And coincidentally, he was a student who went to the same high school that Tokyo and Azuma went to. He had to be pulled out of that high school because he became a Chojin. And what was interesting is what we find out is he was the ace pitcher of that high school's baseball team. And he really, really wanted to be a baseball player. But unfortunately, right in the middle of a game, his Chojin powers came in, and he became significantly more powerful, and it almost caused a major problem when he pitched the ball. Now, from what we can figure out, his power is similar to Misaka Mikoto from a certain scientific railgun. It looks like he has very similar powers, kind of an electrostatic power that gives him the ability to force push certain objects. And we see him using that power in the latter part of chapter 8. So I'm not really sure yet how his personality will interact with Tokyo, but we are starting to get a building of the team, right? The group that Tokyo will be working with. And this, of course, will give us an idea of how the superhero Trojans will move forward against the evil Trojans. Now, we do get some information with regards to a couple of new evil Trojans as well. One of the Trojans looks like a descendant from Cthulhu of the Lovecraftian universe. And the other one seems to be some interesting Trojan that has powers associated with origami. She can make these cute paper dogs, and they seem to be associated with her power, although exactly in what way, we're not sure yet. So I guess we'll find out as we go along, because the chapters do dwell upon them as well, although we're still not sure exactly what sort of personalities these two are and what they're planning to do. So that will come out in the future. And of course, there's going to be a slow build-up. There may be certain minor confrontations as we go along that will eventually explode into a much more greater confrontation further down the road. Overall, though, if we compare this to Tokyo Ghoul, it's still giving that consistent, lighter, a little bit happier sort of world than Tokyo Ghoul. This seems to be a lot more of a slice of life sort of story. And the relationships that he's having so far with these people don't seem to be as dark as the ones that he wrote about in Tokyo Ghoul. Ken Kaneki, even with the characters that he eventually becomes close with, such as Toka, started out with a very dark relationship, right? And it took a while for him to eventually come close. Here, it's starting out with a very light relationship, a positive one. And it'll be interesting to see if this will get darker and darker as the conflicts expand. But in any case, that is the chapter 8 and 9 discussion for Choujin X. I really enjoyed this because of the slice of life nature, as well as getting to learn more about the characters. And eventually, I will make a video for chapters 10 and 11 once 11 comes out. And I hope you join me at that time. But thank you very much for watching this video. And until the next video, happy manga reading, and as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.